Listen, friends, pull up a chair and settle in. Pour yourself a steaming cup of tea, maybe with a splash of milk and a biscuit on the side, because the story I'm about to share isn't just words on a page. It spills straight from the raw, aching corners of my heart, and yes, it might leave a little sting behind your eyes when you hear it. My name is Eleanor Harris, and I've just turned 57. I live in a cozy little corner of suburban London, the kind of place where the streets are lined with blooming hydrangeas in summer and the air carries that faint, comforting scent of rain on cobblestones. It's peaceful here, the sort of quiet that lets you reflect on a life well-lived ... Or, in my case, a life that's been through the ringer and come out stronger on the other side. Life, you see, has been my greatest teacher and my toughest one too. Over the past 30 years, it handed me joys I never dreamed possible. Wrapped up in the arms of my husband, Henry, we weren't the fairy tale couple from those glossy magazines. No grand estates or exotic getaways. Our world was simpler, more real. Picture this, our little semi-detached house in Kensington, with its creaky wooden floors and that one stubborn window in the kitchen that always stuck in the winter. The heart of it all was our old oak bench in the garden, a weathered thing Henry built himself back in '95, right after we bought the place. We'd sit there in the evenings, shoulders touching, sipping cheap red wine from mismatched glasses, talking about the kids or dreaming up silly plans for the weekend. And oh, the roses ... Every Sunday, without fail, Henry would show up with a bunch of them, deep red ones that smelled like summer mornings. He'd hand them over with that boyish grin of his, saying, "For the woman who makes my world bloom." Those memories, they still sneak up on me, uninvited, turning the mundane into magic. But magic, as I learned, can fade like morning mist if you don't guard it fiercely. Let me take you back a bit further, because to understand the storm that hit, you need the calm that came before. Henry and I met in the autumn of 1992 at a stuffy networking event in the city. I was 27, fresh out of uni with a degree in accounting and dreams of climbing the corporate ladder. He was 30, an ambitious architect sketching blueprints that could make a room feel like a hug. We locked eyes across a crowded bar, me in my sensible navy suit, him with ink stains on his fingers and a tie that was slightly askew. He bought me a gin and tonic, and we talked for hours about everything from brutalist buildings to the best fish and chips in Soho. By the end of the night, he was walking me home under a canopy of golden leaves, and I knew this was it. The man who saw the world as a canvas, not just concrete and steel. We married a year later in a small ceremony at St. Mary's in Chelsea. Just family, a few friends, and vows that felt eternal. In sickness and health, for richer or poorer, we promised, our hands clasped tight. The early years were a whirlwind of building of us, of our family. Thomas came first in 1994, a squalling bundle of energy who looked just like his dad, with those same stormy blue eyes. I remember holding him for the first time in the hospital, Henry's hand on my shoulder, whispering, "We've done it, love." Our little masterpiece. Then Olivia in 1997, our quiet dreamer with my curly hair and a laugh that could light up the gloomiest London fog. I stepped back from the fast track, at work to be there for them school runs in the pouring rain, homemade costumes for World Book Day, midnight feeds when Henry was buried in deadlines. It wasn't glamorous, but it was ours. We scraped by on his architecture gigs and my part-time bookkeeping, celebrating small wins, Thomas's first steps on that garden bench, Olivia's finger paintings turning our fridge into an art gallery. Henry's business took off around 2005. Suddenly, we had stability, a second car, holidays in Cornwall, even that prenup he insisted on after confiding about his first marriage is messy and "I won't let history repeat," he said, his voice firm as we signed it in a solicitor's office that smelled of old leather and coffee. Section 14 was crystal clear. Infidelity meant everything: the house, the pension, 70% of the business went to the faithful spouse. I signed without a second thought, trusting him implicitly. Why wouldn't I? He was the man who'd held me through my brother's car accident in 2010, rocking me through endless nights of grief when we lost him at just 45. The man who'd cried harder than I did at Thomas's birth, who surprised me with hand-painted portraits every Valentine's Day, capturing the woman he swore he'd love forever. But cracks, my friends, they don't announce themselves with fanfare. They whisper, then widen. My suspicions started small, about 18 months before that fateful night around Christmas 2023. Henry began staying late at the office more often, his phone buzzing with notifications he'd silence with a quick, "Just a client." Then came the little lies. A meeting in Paris that turned into today's unaccounted for. Cologne that wasn't his usual sandalwood. I noticed the joint account dipping £500 here for supplies, £2,000 there for a conference, as an accountant at a top London law firm for 25 years. Numbers don't lie to me. I could read a balance sheet like a novel, spotting discrepancies from a mile away. Quietly, without a word, I started digging. Late nights at my desk, cross-referencing statements on my laptop while the house slept. The trail led straight to her, Victoria, his sharp-tongued project manager, 15 years his junior, with a LinkedIn profile screaming ambition and photos from wine tastings in the Cotswolds. The evidence piled up like autumn leaves. Bank records showed transfers to a jeweler in Mayfair, a diamond necklace worth £8,000, the kind he'd never bought me. Emails forwarded to a personal account, flirty banter about midnight, sketches, and escaping the routine, phone logs from a burner app, full of late-night calls to her number. And the kicker, a down payment on a sleek flat in Shoreditch, funneled through a shell company he'd set up. Trips to Paris, not conferences, romantic weekends, hotel bookings under aliases. I felt sick, but I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I met with my firm's top divorce solicitor, a no-nonsense woman named Clara who'd seen it all. We built the case brick by brick, timestamps, screenshots, affidavits. The prenup was our irrefutable, ironclad. By the time Thomas's wedding rolled around, the papers were drafted, sealed, and ready to file. I carried that white envelope like a secret talisman, praying the day would pass without drama. But fate, it seems, loves a twist. That wedding dinner. I'll never forget the build-up. Weeks of frenzy, fittings for my midnight blue gown with its delicate lace sleeves, endless calls with the florist for peonies and eucalyptus centerpieces. Thomas and Liz met at university. She a brilliant botanist with a laugh, like wine chimes, and their love was the stuff of storybooks. Olivia, married 2 years prior to a kind-hearted teacher named Mark, helped with the seating chart, teasing me about placing Aunt Edith far from the bar. The venue was the Savoy, all Art Deco glamour with crystal chandeliers and waiters in crisp tails. As we arrived, the hall glowed, white candles flickering on linen-draped tables, silver cutlery catching the light like stars. Laughter bubbled from every corner, cousins clinking glasses, Uncle Bert regaling stories of his golf mishaps. Thomas, dapper in his charcoal tux, pulled me aside for a quiet moment. "Mom, you look radiant. Dad's lucky to have you." I squeezed his hand, my heart swelling. Henry, silver at the temples now, sat beside me, his hand brushing mine under the table. For a heartbeat, it felt normal, eternal. I flagged the black cab, its engine rumbling like distant thunder, and turned to him calmly. "Get in, Henry, or don't, but home is where the truth waits." He hesitated, then slid in beside me, the silence between us thicker than London fog. The ride blurred Thames glittering mockingly, Big Ben tolling midnight like a judge's gavel. My mind raced. Should I have waited? Screamed. But no rage is a fire that consumes. Control is the forge that tempers steel. Home felt alien under fluorescent lights, the kitchen clock ticking accusations. Henry snatched the envelope, tearing it open with trembling fingers. Out tumbled the divorce petition stamped, dated that afternoon alongside the prenup highlighted in damning yellow. The note fluttered down. Remember our vows, Henry, and the terms that guarded. And now dawn breaks on a new chapter brighter than I dared hope. That art gallery I'd shelved for family Eleanor's canvas, tucked in a Notting Hill muse, opened its doors last spring. Sunlit walls showcase local talents. Olivia curates the moderns, her eye for color impeccable. Thomas contributes architectural sketches, framing his world in lines and light. Customers wander in for coffee mornings, leaving with pieces that spark joy. Mornings, I walk the Thames path, roses from the market in hand, not Henry's, but mine, regret. It lingers, a quiet shadow, but I've learned to let light chase it away. So, dear listeners, that's my tale. A reminder that silence can be a thunderclap, sharper than any shout. And love's embers, even scorched, can ignite fresh flames. From the ashes, we rise not unbroken, but beautifully reforged.